you have no idea.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, and you have NTIP.
Yes.
Who else is coming? Des Moines, Lauren, do they know?
Yeah, I know. Okay. I think that's it, eh? All I did was turn it on.
Yeah? Looks good so far.
And if I want to talk, I think the mic's on right now, so.
Yep, it is. So, listen here, I can say.
Hi guys, we're just going to wait for Desta to get here. She should be here any minute.
Katie, can you hear me? Little Katie?
Hi, everyone.
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hi, Melissa. Who's with you in Bombertown?
Hi, this is our co-op student. You want to introduce yourself? You want to introduce yourself? If you're wondering who you are.
Hi, I'm Carlos. I'm the co-op student that's here.
Would you mind repeating that, Melissa? I couldn't hear you.
This is Carlos, our co-op student.
Okay.
He's just finishing up for the day.
Okay. So, Melissa, is Linda there with you?
Linda had a family, an unfortunate event in her family this week, so she's not going to be able to attend.
Okay, and Lauren?
Lauren's not here today. I'm not quite sure where he is.
Okay, Simon, are you at KNET in Sulico? All right. Kathleen in Fort Severn? Oh, no Kathleen. Ben in QA1? Don't see Ben either. Lindsay in North Spirit. Lindsay, I'm sure you're there. All right. Hi there, Lindsay. Okay, so we'll just go to North Spirit next. We have Monica. Hey, Monica. We have Caitlin.
All right.
We have Carly. And we have Jordan. All right, very good. And Adrian had told me maybe he would join me from Dryden. So hopefully he'll be able to join us here.
He's having some vehicle issues right now, so he's going to try to get in somewhere.
Okay. All right. No worries. Feel free to let him know that the session will be recorded so he can view it afterwards.
Sounds good.
And in Poplar Hill, we have Monica. And are Lauren and Namoya joining?
At some point.
Do you have a?
Okay. Very good. Hi there, Ben. I see you.
Hi, can you hear us?
Perfect.
Hi,
That's a nice. Hello, ladies.
Hi,
Hey, Jody.
good
Hi
evening.
there.
Good evening.
Where are you located? Is that beside the library, Joni?
Yeah, beside the library. Beside the library, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. All right,
Thanks.
so in In Keewaywin, we have Joni, Mary Alice, and Ben. Perfect. And then in Deer Lake, we have Haley.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Brenton.
It's just.
Oh.
Okay, Adela. Miles.
No.
He's coming, he's still
I
teaching.
don't know, I had.
Okay, perfect. Chloe.
What? We can't hear
Kelly's
because
there in Deer Lake.
Kelly's here. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Sarah. Joanna.
Yep.
Nikki. And Dylan.
Yep.
Perfect. All right. Okay. Fort Severn. Anyone there from Fort Severn?
Thank you.
Simon, is that you in the KNET boardroom?
That's me. I'm here.
Okay. Good. You made it safe and sound. Awesome. Okay. Very good. So, I think we could probably begin here shortly because I know Fort Severn is having a numeracy night with the COBE staff in Fort Severn today. So I received a call with regards to that. So those staff will probably view the session afterwards. Anna Marie Kakagamic in Thunder Bay, are you there? No? All right. Okay, Tracy, I think that's about what we're gonna get for tonight because the COBE staff are in Fort Severn. And Fort Severn School is having a community numeracy night tonight. Yeah. So while Tracy's just getting herself situated there, I just want to begin by saying Happy New Year to everyone. My sort of New Year rule is if I haven't seen you yet and it's still January, I'm going to seize the moment and say Happy New Year. So I just hope everyone had a good Christmas break, and I cannot believe that Family Day is around the corner. Our next break, some of you are going to be on break for the Little Bands Hockey Tournament, and some aren't, but I know there will nonetheless be students absent in many of our schools and classrooms during that event. And I know I'm really looking forward to seeing the KHS staff at their staff PD coming up in February, and looking forward to seeing Keewaywin school staff in Dryden when they have some PD coming up, and also seeing a good number of you from Fort Severn, Deer Lake, and North Spirit at the Matawa COBE conference in March. So I'll just start with that greeting and just let you know really looking forward to seeing you in the days ahead.
Okay. Oh, I guess I'm
.com.
Ben, maybe you could press mute on your mic when you're off. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Okay. Pardon? No, I haven't loaded into the classroom yet. Can everybody see it though? Should be a bunch of circles on the screen.
No, Monica's indicating some of the connectivity in the community from the point in the community to the beyond the houses, beyond the certain things. That's why.
Okay.
Why it's probably best to put it on the classroom site. Though.
Okay. All right. So I can load it on the site afterwards.
Okay.
There's too much memory in use right now for me to load it in. So it'll take a little bit. It crashed on me once already. So so I'll have to load it afterwards. But probably what I should do is I wanted to start with video. So I'm gonna pull out of here and let's see if we can. let's see if we can do a video from here. So this is to set the stage. Our discussions prior to doing TPA was around, to doing the TPA workshop was around building relationships with kids and why that's so important. And so some of the concerns that we have around kids and key skills that we teach kids come through the relationships that we have with them. So I just want to share a couple of videos, 2 little videos. Both are Canadian videos. One is a guy out of Alberta, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about why social emotional skills are so important. And then that's going to lead us into really knowing our students and how to plan instruction for the students that we have. So I'm just going to start with this little video, and I'm hoping that it will play okay.
Well, my name is Dr. Wayne Hammond. I'm the current CEO of Resilience Initiatives based in Calgary. And it's my pleasure here to be with the Learning Partnership to talk about the concept of resilience and some of its implications for school and our goals around the academic success of kids. One of the current features in our thinking today is we need to start looking at a concept of looking at the strengths of our children as a starting point for enhancing their capacity to be successful. Traditionally, we've looked at this idea of kids need to be fixed in certain areas, and we tend to label, but one of the challenges of that is that kids tend to start to look at themselves differently. They actually almost start seeing themselves as not of worth. And therefore, it puts them in a position where learning and socializing in school systems or community tend to be a challenge for them. And so our research has actually moved to this idea that could we understand what those developmental strengths or those protective factors that if kids have them, they tend to take on challenges in very constructive ways. One of the studies that were out there was the UNICEF report in 2007. And it said that Canada, academically for our kids, knowing something like geography, math, we're actually second or third in the world. But when it actually came to the social development of our children, we were in the bottom third of the industrialized nations. That's a dangerous combination, as the idea is that we've got smart kids that are socially vulnerable. One of the things that we've done in our research is we tried to take a look at what are those protective factors that if kids have them in our lives, or in their lives, that they actually do well when they're faced with challenges. You have this resiliency framework. And what it really is we're looking at how kids think about themselves, the I am, and that's the inner part of the circle, and then the I have, which is the outer part of the circle. And as you can see, there are areas where relationships are intricate to how kids develop. So we looked at family, peers. School played a really important role. Almost 1/3 of the factors fell into that category, and then we had community. So we now actually have a way to measure this. We actually have a questionnaire that actually gives us how kids are thinking about this in their lives. And for me, that's more important. How kids think about this and what they're experiencing to date is more important than what I think is going on in their lives. Because 9 times out of 10, I might be making assumptions or bringing social values to that the child is not able to experience or has never been experienced to. So one of the things that we're seeing in the research is that there's a need to listen to the story of children and use that as a starting point on how we might support them. And the resiliency framework shows us that some kids come with a very impoverished profile. They don't believe in themselves, and the relationships around them are not supporting them from a strengths perspective. Then you'll find that some kids have a mixture, and then some kids have a very strong I am and I have around them, which we see leads to very constructive coping. And so in the frame that you see there, we are now able to tell the level of capacity that a child or youth has. We also know that kids will experience challenges, and we can't protect them from that because there's always going to be challenges in their lives. But how the relationships around them support them, Do they come from a perspective of believing in their capacities, seeing them of worth? It's almost like if you only view kids in your room as students, you're going to treat them a certain way. But if you view them as individuals with a story and of worth and that they have great potential to great things, you're going to look at it very differently and interact with them. And how kids start developing a sense of how they believe in themselves will lead to the I can. That's where we're going to get that pro-social behaviors that we're looking for. So the whole idea of resilience is how do those relationships around kids interact with them in a way that they bring out their potential? Are kids experiencing that, therefore believing in themselves, becoming more optimistic, and leading to the I can? Now, what we've seen in our research is the I can is characteristic of 7 traits. And what we're looking at are social connectedness, manage ambiguity, adaptability, a sense of agency, moral directedness, and having a strength-based aptitude. When kids demonstrate these characteristics, or I call them core character traits, these kids take on challenges in life and vary. So what it's reflecting is they've got a good sense of who they are, and they seem to have those relationships around them. So when we're talking about social connectedness, what we're talking about is, do kids have strong relationships in their lives? Peers, adults, they know who's in their inner circle and who they need to keep in their outer circle. Managing ambiguity is that trait of, do kids know how to handle stress? Do they know that sometimes they're going to go through tough times, that life's not a bed of roses, that there's bumps and bruises, and they know that they can go through it, and they have a sense of hope and optimism that they will get through it. Adaptability is that idea that, do kids learn from their mistakes? Do they know it's okay to try things, and that they may say that doesn't work for me, but I've got other options? Then there's that sense of agency and responsibility. Do kids have a sense of belonging to something, that they have a role, that they belong to a school, that I'm a student, and therefore I add value to that school? If I see something happening like violence, I step in because that's not the value system of our school. Moral directedness is that sense of what's right and wrong. Do I have a sense that there's principles that will guide how I think and how I behave? And a strength-based aptitude is that idea of, do kids develop a strong sense of hope and optimism? Do they view themselves as being of worth? Do they have a sense that they can do things and that they can be successful? And then the other is emotional connectedness. I'm interested in how kids think about themselves, feel, and are they in tune with how others feel, and know how to bring those two together in a way that's respectful of themselves and respectful of others. The framework with the circles is basically saying, if we have a sense that kids are developing those healthy core competencies, we have relationships around them that actually bring out their strengths, give them opportunity to experience it, solidify those as those 7 traits going forward. When we add knowledge and skills, we get very predictive coping. It's constructive. When kids don't have those core traits and relationships around the supporting, if you're just adding knowledge and skills, then it's unpredictable. We actually see that programs that come into schools enhancing anti-bullying or drug addiction or problem solving, and kids don't have that sense of who they are and relationships supporting them, that knowledge actually can be used in very negative ways. So the idea is to collaboratively work to create an ecology around children and youth that makes it increasingly difficult for certain high-risk problems to survive. As system administrators, as school supervisors, one of the things we need to know is our teachers in many ways are excellent in their instruction. I'm not sure how much we can really improve in that area. Where we need to take our focus to a more holistic approach is, are we actually creating an environment that prepares kids to be taught? Kids who feel optimistic, understand how to relate to others, have supportive relationships, have a moral directedness, when sitting in the classroom actually want to do well. They have a sense of wanting to please their teachers. And so you create the environment where teachers can actually do what they've been trained to do. But we need to pay attention to, how do schools facilitate as a hub those relationships around kids that they essentially need to build this sense of resilience. So really what our challenge is are we just going to be outcome focused? Are we just concerned about decreasing violence or decreasing those negative behaviors and looking for school attendance? Or are we actually creating a template for kids to thrive? That we're nurturing those 7 traits, that kids can experience it, get affirmed around it. And these are the same traits that these kids are going to carry forward into their adult lives. I think that this idea of resilience is not just something that it's a one lecture talk. It's something that we need to keep a focus on. In many ways, are we evaluating our programs to what degree they're actually enhancing this concept of resilience? Are we asking the question, what is it that we're doing that nurtures this capacity in our children and students? What is it that we're going to change in order to get better at it? And what are we actually going to let go because it's not adding to the picture at all? And it's not so much about adding new programs, but it's rather taking a look back and saying, what is it about our programs that if we just changed a bit would actually add to this balance of learning and knowledge, but making sure that those core character traits and those relationships around them are developing the social well-being of our children.
Okay, so I'm just going to throw up an overview of, the strengths that he talked about. Not in presentation mode. So he used different terms, but they all meant the same thing as what's up on the screen right now. He talked about the minimum set of character strengths that kids need in order to be able to thrive and have a good life. Perseverance or grit, the ability to work through things. Self-control or self-regulation. Vitality or zest for life. Social intelligence, gratitude, optimism or hope, and curiosity. And so just in your area, just talk about how that is in your classrooms. Do you promote this? Do you get a sense of this in your classroom? How can you use your community hub to help you with these things? Or is there an area that you struggle with or that you want a little bit more information on? And then we'll have you report back in let's say 3 minutes. I mean, it's a pretty heavy conversation for 3 minutes, but.
Okay, so we'll begin in Kiwewen. If you would be willing to share some of your reflections of the last question, and then you can just call out to the next community.
Can you repeat?
Sorry, what was the question?
We're just zooming in on the 7 traits for you. And our apologies that this isn't up on the classroom site. We know it's harder for you at a distance. Follow along.
So the question was, how do you deal with this in your classroom?
That's for us to answer.
Control, yeah, we are talking about that 7. Perseverance.
Maybe I'll turn to Melissa at KHS while Kiwewen's just gathering their thoughts. Melissa, would you mind responding to question? I think you're on mute, Melissa.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So I had a really hard time seeing those 7. I went up, walked to the street, and I still couldn't see it. But I've read Paul Toff's book, How Children Succeed, and I'm really happy to see those there. I really agreed with it when he talks about having grit, curiosity, and all these other elements that children need. As a secondary school teacher, I've often seen some students who've been socially progressed. They come to high school, and at high school, it's almost like they hit a wall. They meet the ministry expectations, and you either pass or you fail your course. You have to meet those expectations. So some students, they fail for the first time, and that's okay. Maybe they've had learning gaps, whatever. And so the students who can pick themselves up and go on and be like, okay, I failed. I'm going to try harder next time. We're going to figure out why I failed. Let's analyze this a bit and go on. I think that really is setting students up for success, not just in high school, but afterwards. It's like you sort of have to have a little bit of failure when you're younger, learn those coping skills, and then move on. And one of the things I've noticed, too, about the students in the KHS classrooms, when they were talking about social intelligence, I think that's one of the strengths of the students that we teach at KHS, is that a lot of them, they're really good. If there's somebody who's experiencing a death in their family or an illness or something like that, they're very respectful and understanding. Even if that's someone who maybe normally they don't get along with, they have the empathy and the social understanding to give that person maybe some space or try to help whatever way they can.
Thank you.
Thanks. Maybe we'll go to Deer Lake next.
Hi there. We obviously agreed with trying to instill all those values in our kids. I think we were asking each other for strategies on how to do that. I think that a lot of our kids come missing many of those qualities that we would like to see, and we're looking for specific ways to help our kids develop those skills.
I appreciate the comments.
Next to North Spirit. North Spirit, you're up.
Hello. So what we were talking about is how we find some of our kids, especially as they get older, they're afraid of failure, or sometimes it's just a struggle just to get them to try. But when they're younger, it seems like they can take risks more easily. And we're just trying to figure out what we can do to have them just keep trying and just start. And so we're kind of maybe looking for some stuff on growth mindset and how to maybe teach more of that in our classrooms. Yeah, that's it.
Poplar Hill?
I think what we've been talking about is we listen and like try to talk to our kids all the time, ask them questions, how are they doing, and try to get some feedback. And we're very observant to certain behaviors that they're doing, like something's odd or whatnot. We try to, catch it before anything happens, I guess. I guess one thing, I don't know about them, but I've been working on trying to raise curiosity in the classroom, trying to get them to ask questions, trying to get them to, and it's all about, I think personally, it's all about how you ask the question. I don't know how to explain it, but instead of saying, can someone tell me, or you reword it saying, I wonder, so you get them thinking. That's what I've been trying to do with them, but yep, that's about it, and I don't know who we missed, so.
Okay, Simon?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Am I showing up?
Yes.
Okay, my opinion about this is from the beginning, as teachers, you have to keep in mind that we're responsible for the overall well-being of the students. At the high school level, where we are now at KAHS, we're in a unique environment where even though for us, and probably in every high school, the focus is on graduation and passing these Ministry of Education courses, we are in an environment where we can interact with the students in a fairly informal way, much more so than a conventional classroom. And I think that my colleagues at KIHS, we should emphasize the overall mental health of our students. And I think we're in a good situation to do so.
Okay, thank you. We'll go back to Kiwaywan.
So yeah, adding to that, I've had to, in our environments at KHS, I've had to speak with students who are dealing with like depression and things like that, which can be challenging as I don't really have, training in addressing those issues, but you have to be ready to have those conversations and show that you're open and listening. And it can be definitely challenging because you want to be supportive, but at the same time, we don't really have training for that specific thing. So I guess that would be part of it. Did you guys?
We want to share.
And self-regulation for us can be difficult too because a lot of the students a lot of the time are doing work on computers, so I feel like I have to nag them a lot to get off, YouTube or things like that, and they can get really distracted. So that is something that I deal with, as well as there is that issue of perseverance, because especially for the grade 9s, it's a really, really hard transition from elementary because they are dealing in many cases with failure in class for the first time, especially in terms of not getting the credits. So that can be really, really tough for them to deal with. Did you guys want to say thanks?
I think we are also dealing with students coming to school regularly. Some will come today, you see them like 3 days later. And some will not come in the morning, they show up in the afternoon. So we talk to them, they always agree to come, but you see them going back to.
Yeah.
So it's one of the problems we are facing. I think the parents who talk to them, some people will say, I slept off. My granddad didn't wake me up. So I think this is one of the issues that we are facing here. We keep on talking to them, but I don't know.
Though we are not regular class teachers, being special needs teachers, we are talking to students who have social problems, and especially they need to be optimistic and there is a hope, as well as self-regulation is another important thing that they have to focus. We are trying to talk to them, trying to be closer, first build the relationship, and slowly we are getting, once we get to know them, we are talking to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Kiwewen. Port Severn, did you join us? I can't quite see who's in the library there, but I think that might be Grace.
Fauna?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Gren. Kathleen's here. I'm not going to be here for the last half hour though.
Okay, so that's, okay, so Grace and Kathleen, you're the only two there?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Okay, thanks for joining us, you two.
Okay, so I heard a couple of things in there, and just to reiterate that it sounds like kids are kids all over the place. We have some of the very same issues that you're discussing around kids coming with all kinds of different mental illnesses, depression, not wanting to persevere through things, distracted, all that kind of stuff. So Martin Seligman, who is a positive psychologist, he would say that the biggest key out of those whole list of 7 things is to provide kids with a sense of optimism and hope. Doing that over and above all the other things is number 1 in helping them to be able to grow and have a good life. So one of the things that I posted a question just now on the Google Classroom around collecting data on your students. How do you get to know them? What data do you look for? Where do you gather the data from in order to know your students? So the question is open. If you would like to just take a couple minutes and answer the question and populate that, then that will help us move into the next segment.
Monica and Nikki, Kelly, can you see my response to the question on the classroom site?
I don't yet. No.
If anyone has their laptop open, you can view your colleagues' responses. I see Nikki's response, Sarah's response, Kelly. So right below Tracy's post where it says 4 done, you can click on the number 4 to hear or to read the responses so far. So if you do have a computer and you would like to post your comment, that'd be a good place to do it.
And we'll give you 1 more minute to post your comment.
Lauren, are you able to see any of the responses?
Just I'm only able to see what you posted. I'll try refreshing it, but no, I don't think I can.
I'm seeing all the students.
Okay, great. Yeah, so Lauren, you'll see my response there, but if you click on the number 7, the 7 done or 8 done, however many responses start coming in, you'll be able to see everyone's responses.
I think what we have is a little person that decided it says see classmate answers.
Oh, okay. If they're students in the classroom and we're teachers.
Oh,
So I did click to allow them to be able to see each other's answers.
okay.
But I wasn't sure if they could see them or not.
Well, someone said they could see it, right?
Yeah. After you've done your, after you've submitted your answer, you click on a little smiley or a little face underneath, and it says "See classmate answers," and that took me to all the answers.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Melissa.
Feel free to comment on a classmate's answers if you like. Okay, so just as you're finishing up your comments online, some of the starting points for planning. And one of the very starting points in the process is getting to know all the kids in your class so you can develop a student profile or a class profile. Learning for All has an excellent little template that will walk you through the pieces of how to gather that kind of information. But when you're doing that and you're trying to get to know all the kids in your class, you're going to gather information about the students. You're going to try and engage students and parents throughout that process in order to be able to understand where your kids are coming from, what happens outside of school, what has happened over time. Student voice helps to motivate your students and helps to engage them in the process, making them understand that they are the center of the learning, and so that they feel like they're a part of the process as well. So Learning for All has some really excellent little templates around how do you build a class and a student profile. Near the end of the book, around page 33, 35, there's a couple of good templates there. So when you're gathering information, some of the key pieces of information that you can gather, and this may be small for you to see, but this is all in Learning for All as well. You can gather information from their OSR, or their student record, from their IEP if they've had any psychological or other testing. It's always really interesting to read those reports because there could be something very simple in there or a recommendation that would really help a student in a classroom. Any transition plans that the kids might have. Some have transition plans because they are autistic and they need to have a transition plan. Some have transition plans because they're moving from school to school, or they've had lots of transitions in their lifetime, or transitions are problematic for them. So, so there's lots of variation on that. Past teachers or other current teachers in your school can be a good support, that whole team approach. Any attendance reports, previous report cards, any EQAO if that's applicable. Information from any parents, guardians, agencies that might be involved with the child, or education counselors. Your student profiles, I have written here Encompass because we have, that's a database that we use. I'm not sure if you guys have one, or...
Our comparable would be DataVan, and there's a lot of plans in the future, I guess, how we could maximize DataVan to make it work for the students' benefit to building profiles.
Yeah, so the next I have on the list is collaborative notes or anecdotal notes, which we keep in Encompass, so teachers document when there have been very specific issues or concerns with students or strengths that should be shared with other teachers, either in the moment or for long term. We share those in the Encompass platform so that that's there for anybody to read. I shouldn't say anybody. It's confidential, but it's for any teachers that are linked to that student, that they can read them. And then when you speak with students, you can find out their interests, their sparks, their strengths, their learning styles, their needs, or their wishes. And you can do that at any grade, really. Like even in grade 1, a kid can tell you what their wishes are. So in order to promote self-advocacy for kids, it's always good to ask them, you know, what do you like to learn about, or you know, what do you wish could happen today? Those kinds of things. PLCs, so professional learning communities or staff meetings or PD sessions. You can gather and share information. Any observations or any initial assessments that you have on students. Any demographic information that you might have. You know, that could be around kids in care or kids that have moved to your community that are new to your community, or all your girls you're noticing that all the girls are doing one thing and all the boys are doing another thing, and how can we fix this or whatever. So it's just nice to kind of look through a variety of lenses to try and meet the needs of everybody. So once we know our kids, then we also need to know our curriculum. So I always say all subject areas matter because kids shine in different ways and in different lights. So we need the arts, we need the athletics, and we need the academics. They're all important. And we work at all of them knowing that we're not all going to be perfect at every one of them, and we're not all going to be excel at every one of them, but we try our best, and we use our growth mindset in order to learn as much as we can so that we can be the best people that we can, and so that we can be the best citizens that we can be. I always put learning for all at the center, and then growing success is a support document. Do you guys follow Ontario schools?
Yeah, so the communities are not ministry inspected per se, but the secondary programming is ministry inspected.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. So this just helps to form the basis for your programming overall, I think, is kind of what I'm trying to get at here. So when you're looking at your curriculum documents, they give you key pieces of information about what those big ticket items are that kids need to know. And if I was doing like a full day workshop with you, we would have a good look at a curriculum document. I would have you read the front matter of the curriculum document, because it gives you, right from the subject association, it gives you the focus and the purpose of why the curriculum was put together the way that it was. It gives you particular things that you want to be concerned about and think about as you're working through. So some of the new curriculum, well, all of the new curriculum documents have a focus on mental health. So they will have a blurb in there, a couple pages around how to pay attention to mental health in this particular curriculum area. They give you strategies for assessment and evaluation. There's all those kinds of things in the front matter that we really often skip right over and just go right to, what are my expectations that I need to teach? What do I need to teach? And even when you go to the curriculum expectations, there's always a little blurb right in front of the curriculum expectations that talks about the focus of the program. And so that's how you get the gist of where you want to go with your subject area or your curriculum area. Your expectations will be broken into overall expectations as well as specific expectations. And for reporting purposes, you're only expected to report on overall expectations. Your specific expectations help you get to the overall expectations, but they're not meant to be a checklist of, I need to do this, 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 this. Sometimes some of those specific expectations are too specific, or they've already been covered, or the kid has a good handle on them. So you don't necessarily have to rehash them. But those overall expectations, you need to ensure that the kids are working towards those and are trying to become independent at those overall expectations. So you also need to know your assessment. And we're going to get into assessment more in depth next time. So I'm going to kind of skip over this. This has a lot of information on it, but I'm going to skip over it. But the primary purpose of your assessment and evaluation is to improve student learning. So anytime you're doing assessment with kids or an evaluation with kids, if we think of it in the lens of we're trying to use this to improve student learning, it's not like an end stop. It's trying to see how far we can get kids to go, and then where they are at a critical point in time. And so we'll get into that a little bit more next time. I'm not going to go into it too much right now because we don't have a lot of time. So we need to plan for assessment and for instruction, and there's a couple of different models, and the model that I have posted right here is this is around understanding by design. So this is, some people would call this backward design. This is really planning for your curriculum as opposed to planning for your kids. And so when we do our planning, we want to be able to plan for our curriculum and plan with our kids in mind and remove any barriers that are in place. So when we're looking at planning for our assessment and instruction through the curriculum lens, we're going to look at a couple of things. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to prioritize the curriculum and identify what are the big ideas. So what are the big overall expectations or the focus of the course? What really matters? What do the kids need to know and be able to do or understand by the end of the course or the end of a unit of study? And we look at that in terms of they need this for life beyond my course, so I need to teach this or we need to learn this because you're going to need this later on in life. Another reason might be they need to know this in order to be successful at the next level in the next course. Or there might be a moral purpose to why we need to know this. So identifying what really matters and putting your emphasis and your priorities on those big ticket items. Because if we prioritize absolutely everything, we run out of time. So the next stage in developing the curriculum plan is determining what evidence is acceptable. So how will we know that they're learning? And what am I going to accept as evidence that they are proficient at this? So does it look different for different students, knowing that success comes in many forms? Have I ensured that my assessment or my evidence that I'm collecting lines up and is actually measuring what I say it wants to measure? Have I ensured that there are opportunities to collect the evidence and for students to show their understanding through observations, conversation, and products, so that there's balance and alignment, so that a student's learning style or strength shines through by giving them a variety of opportunities in different ways to show their learning. So just because I could tell Desta, you know, what I think and how well I think about a particular topic, does that make me any less of a student if I can't write it for her? Or if writing is not my strength, but I can tell her or I can show her in a picture, is that balanced? Does that matter the same? Those are some of the philosophical questions we need to ask ourselves. So then the last stage is, once we kind of know what our priority areas are and what evidence we're going to gather so that we know that the kids are learning, then we start to plan the learning experiences and the instruction. So we structure and we very carefully create the learning opportunities. And this is where we should be spending the bulk of our time as teachers, is on planning the learning opportunities so that we give our kids the best learning opportunities possible. Then we're going to start to personalize. So once we plan for our curriculum, and actually I probably, in my own mind, I probably plan for the kids first and make sure that I know what they need. Then we start to look at universal design, which talks about providing experiences that may be necessary for some but are good for all. And I'm going to talk about some strategies for that just in a few minutes. And then the other is differentiating the instruction. So differentiated instruction is when we're planning for the students and what do they need. Universal design is removing barriers. So we're planning for curriculum, we're differentiating instruction, which is planning for the student, and then universal design means we're removing all the barriers. So when we differentiate instruction, we're looking at student readiness. This is where knowing our kids is really, really important. We're looking at their readiness. We're looking at their interests. What are their interests? What are they curious about? What do they want to learn about? And how can I pull in what they like into what we're doing? Make those connections. We're looking at their learning style so that we can better support and give opportunities to both let them shine through their strength, but also support and build upon their areas of need, so that we're not always just giving one thing. That was a conversation we had here this afternoon. We were talking about summative assessments at high school, and how one of the teachers in the room said, you know, my son is in high school. One of the key things was he's got all these summative assessments. They're all writing tasks. There's not one thing that engages him through any other form of media. And so if he's not a strong writer, that's 4 summative assessments. That's a lot of stress and a lot put onto that one learning style. So we kind of need to be cognizant. And that's where being in a smaller school, or being able to really discuss with our colleagues, what are you doing in your classroom? How are you supporting kids this way? What did you do for this kid? How can we best work together so that we're not bombarding them with 4 massive writing tasks at the end of the year? Flexible groupings. So are we able to use different small groupings in class where some of them may be based on their strengths, some of them may be based on their needs, some of them may be based on what they're interested in, etc. Are we using those small flexible groupings to support learning and to promote collaboration between the kids? And then what does the assessment look like? And is my assessment also provided in a variety of different forms so that I'm supporting the most number of kids? And differentiation doesn't mean I have 30 different lesson plans. It means that I'm trying to provide the best plan that will support all kids. I have one plan, it might be tweaked here and there for a kid, but it doesn't mean I have 30 individual plans. So when we get into talking about removing the barriers so that the kids can draw on their strengths, I don't know if you can see that super clearly, but I can share this all with you. This is a sample of some things that you can do in your class and this list is not exhaustive. There's other things you can do. This is just a sample of things that you can do to ensure that you are giving kids multiple opportunities to balance the things that they're practicing. So either their assignments or their assessments. So what are you asking them to do that might fall into an observation, a conversation, or a product? And here it's write, say, do. So it's kind of giving you a different lens around observation, conversation, and product. So what do you do to gather those kinds of pieces? And are you providing them opportunities in all 3 areas? Or do you find that you spend a lot of time doing mostly performance tasks or doing mostly writing tasks? So this is something you could just look at and sort of do a little self-assessment and go, oh, okay, you know, I don't do a lot of these things, and maybe I should add 1 or 2 things more to my repertoire as a teacher so that we are looking at a variety of different areas. when I did a little survey of our own teachers here at KP over the last couple of years, and it's getting better now as we do more and more around the three areas, the observations, conversations, and products. It used to be that when I looked at kindergarten teachers, they were very much, well, we do lots of observation, lots of observation, lots of observation. And then as we went into the primary grades, it was more observation, conversation. And by the time we got to high school, it was product, product, product. And the response was always, well, we can't prove an observation or a conversation. And if a parent ever comes back. But we've now worked through some of that and being able to use technology in a variety of ways. You can document conversations, like there's all kinds of different things that we can do to support student learning. So we always have to go back to the mindset of supporting the student learning and what is the need and how do we move the learning forward. So one of the things that I looked at with our new teachers was some of the common challenges that kids have are very common to a lot of kids, whether they have an IEP in place or not, because some kids are too young to have an IEP in place yet because developmentally they could still be growing and whatever. But what are some of the common things that we find on IEPs? And how do we support and handle that in a classroom where we've got 30 kids and they all have different needs? So one of the things that I did was I tried to pull together some of the key common challenges to support our new teachers, because even I know as a new administrator, I had teachers coming to me and saying, okay, for example, there's executive functioning on the IEP. I don't even know what that means. And so we would work through, and I mean, I remember being there and saying, yeah, like, okay, processing speed, there's an issue, but I don't really know what that means. So, so I pulled together a couple of key things around some of the key areas that are challenges for us right now. And this is not by any means any sort of exhaustive list, but these are some key things that we notice are big issues or more occurring, I guess. So executive functioning, and this is learners who have difficulty with executive functioning may struggle with starting new tasks, planning, developing goals or solutions to problems, keeping track of materials, time, equipment, transitioning from one activity to the next, reflecting on their work or actions. Too many options may overwhelm a student with executive functioning issues. And this may result in behavior issues. So I can tell you, this is my son, and when he doesn't know and he is trying so hard, he starts wiggling. He can't stop wiggling. And I know as soon as he's wiggling that he is working really hard to try and figure out what it is he needs to do. And the moment I can give him sort of a little clue as to prompting him back on track, the wiggling stops and he's able to move forward. So memory is also an issue for some of our kids, and this involves difficulty remembering, and it can be verbal or auditory memory. It could be visual memory, or it could be working memory. So visual memory is verbal or auditory memory issues are having difficulty remembering information, restating information. Visual memory issues are remembering visually presented information, so they might have trouble with math. They might have trouble with reading graphs or charts, and remembering how to form shapes of letters or numbers Working memory is when you're trying to hold on to multiple pieces of information while you're completing a complex task. So I need to remember that 2 + 2 is 4 in order to be able to do this other piece of the task. I may get jumbled there. We talked a little bit earlier about social emotional concerns. That appears to be a difficulty, and this is an area of need, managing emotions and developing positive relationships. Processing speed. So this is the speed with which we have automaticity of our cognitive skills. So we may struggle with copying information quickly and accurately, keeping up or contributing to classroom discussions. So these kinds of students may need increased time to calculate simple math, locate visual information, read, copy, or make decisions. Language is also an area of need, and we see this quite a bit in our really younger grades, but it can go on through lifetime. So expressive language is an area of need involving talking, spelling, or writing. And receptive language is an area of need involving listening, reading, comprehension, or decoding. So students who have receptive language difficulties may have trouble understanding language, understanding long or complex sentences. They may have trouble with reading comprehension. They may have trouble with vocabulary or responding to questions or following directions. A student with expressive language issues may struggle with oral or written communication, sentence formation or organization, blends, so when they're speaking, creating grammatically correct sentences, social language, use of vocabulary, words, semantics, and communicating their own wants and needs. And then a couple of mental health issues that we notice are coming up quite a lot are anxiety and depression. And so I will share this with you. There's a lot of text in here, but I'll share all of this with you so that you can read through that at your leisure. So in going through that, then I tried to map 2 different strategies, instructional strategies, that would not only support these particular issues, but that would support all kids in your class, so that you could try and do different things, different strategies that would work with the most number of kids in your class. And so I came up with a list of a couple of things. Now, in each one of these circles, there's supports that are listed there for each of the specific areas, but there's also some key things that you can do to really support and hone in on those particular areas if you need to, above and beyond. But what I came up with was there's a few key things that really help all kids, including any of these kinds of learners. One being focused conversations. And a focused conversation really is a conversation where you can discuss a piece of text, you can discuss an idea, you can discuss a situation that has happened in class, and you can take it from a discussion to a written form very easily if you wanted to. So you could start with a conversation. It helps to build relationships, it helps to build collaboration. So for any of those kids who may be anxious or depressed, it helps to build that social network in your classroom. And really what you do with a focused conversation in a nutshell, and I'm not going to do it justice, in a nutshell, you start with different levels of questioning. So it's building really essential questions around whatever it is that you're going to talk about, a piece of text, an idea, a concept, all those kinds of things. But you start with an objective level of questioning. They call it an ORID, O-R-I-D. You start with an objective level of questioning. You work through facts. So you're getting the facts out on the table. Objective is, what happened? Give me the details, that kind of thing. The next level of questioning is interpretive. It's R, the reflective level. So how did that make you feel? Those kinds of questions. So you start drawing information out of the kids. The next level, the I level, is the interpretive. Okay, so how are you interpreting that? What are you connecting to? What else are you connecting to? So you can see how it really starts to draw out deep, deep thinking in kids. And then the last level is the decisional level, which helps kids to develop, to make a decision based on what they've read, which might be, the decision might be an evaluation on a piece of text, something like that, or a decision around an idea or a behavior that happened in class. So you can use it in a variety of formats. Using technology, if you can, if you've got the technology, the assistive technology opens tons of doors, and all kids can use it. I promote assistive technology in terms of using voice to text. I use it myself as a method of helping me to be more efficient, but also to show kids that, you know what, anybody can use it. Lots of people do use it, and there's nothing wrong with using it, so it helps to make our lives easier. The technology is there. Let's try it. Text to speech or speech to text really opens doors to a lot of kids. Using graphic organizers really helps to help kids organize, to pick strategies, to work their way through a task. And I've given a list of some graphic organizers that you could use. Using visuals to help with verbal. I know myself, when I just listen to somebody and I don't have like a picture or a frame of reference or even words to watch, I don't take in as much, and I try really hard, but it just doesn't go in without the visual with it. So anytime we can pair a visual with the auditory or have them say it as well, that helps to solidify the learning. Think, Pair, Share is also a great way to get kids to work together. Give kids an opportunity to think about something that they want to say themselves, so that they have that think time. Give them that time, let them jot things down. Share it with a partner so that they're bouncing the ideas off of someone else, and then they're sharing it in a bigger group. And then I've attached I guess these would you could kind of use this as a template for a lesson plan. Like, I wouldn't do these every day, but these are things that you can do. I heard earlier on we talked about that fear of failure. So one of the ways that you can get over that fear of failure, that you can work with kids, is called Failing Forward. And there's actually a whole website built on Failing Forward, and it comes from Engineers Without Borders, and they're Canadian. And this worst case analysis is a thing that came from them. And in a nutshell, what you do in a worst case analysis is you are trying to build the worst model possible so that you can then strategize how you avoid all those worst case scenarios. So I actually use this with our principal group on trying to build PLCs in our school. So what would be the one worst thing that you could do to make sure that PLCs are destroyed in your school? And they had to write down what their worst idea would be, and it couldn't just be take away the funding. So it had to be a little bit more creative than that. And so we had things like have a tyrant at the table, and that kind of stuff, right? And then we took, and they had to take their idea, and they had to share it with 2 other people. They had to rate the ideas, and then at the end of the day, the ones who had the 5 very worst of the worst ideas, we posted those, and kids love to do this, because it almost gives them an opportunity to feel silly, but they're being real. And then we take those ideas, and then we flip it around, and we go, okay, so how do we avoid this? What do we do to avoid this? And all the ideas start flowing and coming, and so this is a way to get over, because sometimes we have to fail first in order to be able to see what the next step is. So what our success is, and that's a way to build in failure into your class so that kids can see that we are at a time where most new answers, we've had to fail at things in order to innovate something, because the answers aren't just out there anymore. We have to really innovate. And so kids have to know that they have to fail in order to succeed at this time. Now, affinity mapping, that's the last one that I'll go into tonight, and it's all mapped out here as well, and you can do this for a variety of different things. I've done this in a curriculum planning session where we've looked at a new curriculum, and we've ripped apart the curriculum document, and we look at what's the most important thing. And so what you do with affinity mapping basically is you have a number of items, and you chunk them into topics, and those topics become your action items. And it really does work, and it's a group collective effort. And you can do this with your kids with sticky notes on pretty well anything, any kind of topic. So I've kind of mapped these out here as different ways that you could engage your kids in different sort of lesson planning that hopefully helps them to see some innovation, hopefully helps them to work collaboratively together, and really uses the social aspect of learning by talking with one another, because we know that learning happens when kids are talking to each other. I think that's lots for tonight.
Yes. Any questions for Tracy? Okay, I don't hear anything, so there's a couple of things I'd like to just go through before we sign off. Just want to highlight our next date is February 21st, same time, 4 to 5:30 p.m. Central Time Zone. I also want to highlight that if you have not had your first teacher performance appraisal started, you may want to have that conversation with your principal to get a sense of the timeline on that. With regards to some of the points that Tracy outlined tonight, one of the things I wanted to highlight with regards to the 7 character traits that she outlined there based on some of the work with TUF is with regards to some of these traits we're trying to foster. Kobe is going to start delivering a monthly career video conference series that will be available to any schools to sign up. It'll be very similar to what we're doing right now. Any class that wants to sign up, you just simply inform the Kobe individual that is leading the event, let them know you're coming, and then it would be expected that at your local school you would make arrangements with your colleagues to make sure that there's proper seating, etc. for you and your classes. So the first one I want to sort of highlight is Kara McLeod is going to be delivering a VC on Monday, January 30 at 1:30, and she is a Mohawk boxer, and she works with Laxo Police Force in Sulikote, so she will be joining us at the KNET building and delivering an engaging 1-hour session on some of these items we were talking about tonight surrounding character development and her career path so far. Maybe someone could mute their mic. I'm not sure if it's Kiwewan maybe, but Yeah, so the other thing I wanted to highlight was I have received some questions from you regarding some of the communication between your KPDSB mentors and yourselves. Some of you have indicated that you're not hearing back from some of your mentors. So I guess I would just like Tracy maybe to comment a little bit about that. Are there any other tips you would like to share how we should try to make these connections? Because we know that we need you to be in some type of communication, ongoing communication with your mentors, and start fostering that relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I would try and do is set a time. I don't know if once a week might be a little much, but maybe once every 2 weeks, set a time to have even just a 15-minute check-in. By phone, email, Google Hangout, Skype, whatever works for you. But I would discuss that with your mentor, go back and forth and say, sort of map out what's the best form of communication, what's the best time, and can we just start by doing a 15-minute check-in? And I'll reiterate it with the mentors too, because some have been asking me as well how to foster that a little bit better as well. So, and they will always use your KNET
your
account,
EDU.
your EDU account. So if you're wondering where they're at, that's the email that they've been given, so that's what they will use to get in touch with you.
Yeah, and Tracy, is it possible to post the pairings again on the
Classroom?
Yep. I know the link is there somewhere, but we're very pleased to say that everyone now has been assigned a mentor. So that's everyone there over there in North Spirit Lake, so quite happy about that. And we're really excited for our next session in February.
So Caitlin, I just got your mentor today, and so she knows. She's actually mentoring somebody else as well, so she offered to take on a second. So I don't know if she's been in touch with you yet today, because she's in meeting with me and she was asking. So she may have sent you a little note. I don't know, but if she hasn't today, she will very shortly.
And if there's anything that I can do to help you connect with your mentor, like let's say, for instance, you were coming to town for the Little Bands tournament and your KPDSB mentor works at Queen Elizabeth or works at Sioux Mountain, maybe you could send me an email. I would gladly try to set up an opportunity for you to meet in person. And even if your mentor is in Kenora, if you're ever traveling through Kenora for going to Winnipeg, whatnot, I would really encourage you try to meet your mentor face to face, because we already have one first KPDSB mentor is already talking to Tracy to try to coordinate her trip to go visit her mentee in the First Nation. So your mentors will be visiting you at your respective sites. That is the hope, that everyone that wishes to participate in that has that opportunity. So we would love to see the relationships get solidified a bit more before they get off the plane. Yeah. Any questions on any of these points? So maybe we'll just go around the group. Any questions in KIHS? Any final comments? Melissa Simon? Okay, I don't hear anything. Maybe Deer Lake, any final questions? Any comments?
Can we get copies of whatever we discussed today?
Yes, Kiwewen, yeah, Tracy will definitely post the entire Prezi document for your information. Thanks for your patience on that.
My question is, we have to write down all the AQs that we did and all the professional development we did. I've done a lot in my teaching career. I've done absolutely none this year. What do I do? Do I just leave it blank?
So the form you are referring to, and I'm just going to pull it up here, is the INS form, and it is posted on the Kobe NTIP classroom, the individual NTIP strategy form. So the expectation there, Simon, is that you would be doing, and the whole group, you would be doing approximately 3 hours of professional development throughout this school year, 2016 to 2017. So when you meet, for instance, with your colleagues in Thunder Bay for PD in February, Simon, you will note your learning from that time frame, and that will be sufficient.
May I just want to say something to Simon here. You're doing training all this week. I believe that would count too, would it not?
Sounds good. A lot of things that I never thought about. Thanks.
Yeah, very good. And on the note of the INS form, I'd like to congratulate Carly and Caitlin and Sarah. Please let me know if I'm forgetting any of the tech leads that obtained their Google One certification recently. So congratulations to those folks, and really happy that you'll be able to note that on your INS form. Okay, any questions, Deer Lake? Comments? No.
No.
Okay, very good. Any questions in North Spirit? Okay, very good. And Poplar Hill?
No, we're fine. Thank you, Desta.
Okay, very good. And I think Fort Severn has left us already. They're
No, I'm here.
Oh, you're still there. Kathleen and Grace. Any questions?
We have no questions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, ladies. So I'd like to thank everyone and just give Tracy an opportunity to have a final word before our next session, February 21.
The last session that we're going to do is around assessment. And so if you have specific questions around assessment, could you send them to me so that I can tailor the presentation to what you need? Because like I'm trying to give you sort of an overview, and I know some of you have been teaching a long time and maybe this isn't meeting your needs. So I just really would like to incorporate if you're struggling in an area or you have some questions around a certain area, if you could let me know that, then I can tailor a little bit more to what you want.
All right. With that being said, I'd like to wish everybody a good rest of the week, and hopefully we'll see some of you in the session on Monday with the boxer. It's going to be exciting, and I look forward to the students having the opportunity to hear from a role model. Thanks, everyone.
Sorry, when is the next video conference session happening?
So it's February 21, and if ever you need to double check the dates, feel free to go to the Kobe NTIP classroom site, because the calendar is listed there and all of your documents are listed there also. Christian? Christian, can you hear me? Kiwewan?
Yes?
Yes?
Okay,
Thank
Christian,
you.
I just wanted to take this opportunity to introduce myself. I'm Desta. I haven't met you yet. Welcome to Kiwewan.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Mary Alice, we met. So
Yes.
this is Tracy. So Tracy, we're very fortunate that Tracy Lindstrom is able to work with us to deliver the new teacher induction program to our participants in the KO schools. So really nice. Yes.
Desta, I have a question, Desta. I think
Yes.
21st February we may not be there because The whole week, that is from 13th to end of the week, we have a break, but we are having 2 days of professional development program in Traden. So that is the reason we are extending our vacation, like that 1 week break to up till I think 22nd. We are coming back on 22nd, Delta.
So we may not meet on 21st, Delta.
So how do we drive?
Do you know where you will be on the 21st? Will you be in Red Lake or?
No.
No. We are going home actually.
Oh, okay, very good. All right, that's not a problem, Kiwewin. We will video record the session and you'll be able to view it afterwards. That's not a problem at all.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And
So 3 of us, yeah.
one more request. I don't have any mentor.
Okay, I'll contact you directly about that. Okay, Mary Alice?
Okay, thank you very much, Jessa,
All
for
right,
your
thank
time.
you. Yes, not a problem. And Ben, we'll make sure to just connect with you from your classroom, given that the school will be closed on that day.
Okay, fine.
Okay, thank you.
So they are expecting Tracy to send this information to us. Today's
Yes, and it'll be posted on the Kobe NTIP classroom, so I'll send you and Christian both an invite to join that group.
Okay, thank you very
Okay.
much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening. Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
see you, Kiwewin. See you, North Spirit, KHS. Bye, everyone.
Bye.